Good evening, Bears fans. It's Monday night. The sun is down, which means it's time for another round of CHGO Bears After Dark, powered by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. What's going on, everybody? Will DeWitt, Nicholas Moriano. We got Cody from the Cubs/Bets, and of course, Greg Braggs. We're here for a CHGO Bears After Dark special, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Just kind of hanging out here throughout some of these Monday night games. There's 2 of them here tonight, and I'm excited just to kind of gain everyone's perspective about last night's Bears game too. After a night, I almost had sleep on it, but I didn't fall asleep until 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was up by 7, so I barely had time to even do that. But Nick, I want to go over to you first. How was your trip over to Lambeau?
Yeah, it was really good, you guys. It was my second time being up there, and both times I've been up there, I've seen Bears lose in prime time on Sunday Night Football, but it was a good experience. The vibes were, everybody was feeling it right before the game. You felt the excitement around Lambeau Field, as you usually do when you travel up there. And, and we'll probably talk about it throughout the night, but, the Bears just kind of squandered way too many opportunities throughout that game. And, in the locker room, it was just, obviously you were in the locker room last week, Will, and just kind of seeing videos that circulated from there. Completely different vibe, you guys. Very quiet. You can hear a pen drop. Guys just going straight to the showers, like, hey, let's get out of here. Like, obviously, that wasn't our best performance, and I get it. It's the Green Bay. We've seen those happen a lot over the years, but yeah, it was a good experience. Second time, like I said, second year in a row being up there. You just hope for a different result at some point.
Yeah, obviously it's been far too long. Cody, what's better, Lambeau Field or Wrigley Field?
I think that's an obvious answer. It is definitely Wrigley Field. That is heaven, in my opinion. my highest opinion. Historic, but I'll take the greatest.
Cody, are you hardwired? Do you need to reset that Wi-Fi?
I am.
Wow.
I am hardwired. Can you guys hear me?
It was in and out, and you kind of got frozen over there too.
A little lag,
a little bit.
Okay. Well, I am wired in, guys.
Well, you do the best you can. Technology has a mind of its own sometimes. Greg, I know we're still getting to kind of know each other a little bit more. Are you a Sox or a Cubs guy?
I'm a Cubs fan all day, every day.
Room divided right down the middle. Nick and I are South Side, and then we have the North Siders over there.
That's actually side, and then the other side.
Yeah.
You guys have been through a lot this year, though, so we'll go easy on you. It's a big week for Sox fans.
The Bears all do love about being a Bears fan is it Cubs and Sox together. We can all be pissed off or angry about the same thing.
Yeah, this what makes this hangout a lot of fun, Cody, because you're right. This is the bringing together point for a lot of Chicago sports fans, and I know we have a lot of thoughts that I know we want to express. If Cody's Wi-Fi plays nice, hopefully he can sit here and express that as well. I guess not Wi-Fi. You said you're wired in, so that Ethernet cord needs to pick up the slack. Cody, we have a couple of Monday Night Football games coming up here. Before they kick off, I know you are Mr. Bets all the time. You're winning money, hitting these parlays. I've been following along on Twitter throughout the season. I don't bet on the NFL until about week 4. That's my personal opinion. I just let things kind of ride out. But if you're looking at a few bets here this evening for people to win some money, I love getting our audience members, some extra cash on hand. What are those bets for you tonight?
I wouldn't say that, but I know that is huge.
Yeah.
Tell him to call.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just have him call on his phone. I guarantee his phone will be working with flying colors. And people need, the betting expertise from Cody with these games coming up.
I know. It's I wanted to lean into him a little bit there because that is something that I know he dives into. Did you guys look at PointsBet a bit and find anything?
Yeah, I actually did. I have a couple things, and Cody, obviously I'm going to lean on him, but as far as this first game is concerned with the Bills and the Titans, Jamison Crowder, anytime touchdown is at plus 375 and plus 1,500 for his to be the first touchdown scorer. I liked kind of what I saw from Jamison fitting into this Buffalo Bills offense last week to kick off the season. He's got a good, understanding of how to sit down in a zone. And Josh Allen was finding him quite a bit. So Jamison Crowder was somebody I had my eye on for sure.
No, that one seems like easy money. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I like that. I just think anything revolving around Josh Allen is easy money because that dude just gets touchdowns. So I saw this Bills Titans game, like first touchdown plus 600 for Josh Allen. Give it to me. Let's do it. And look, I preface this. Don't listen to me when it comes to bets. Like I have been on a downward trend, like especially this past weekend, and I've just been betting on baseball. But that one sounds doable, so maybe. But like I said, Cody's a guy you want to listen to. Me, I'm just here to, I thought it was a cool bet, a good bet, a winnable bet, and I'll just put my 2 cents out there. But if you agree. You can't blame me.
No, I agree with you. Josh Allen is the gift that keeps on giving. They're on fire right now, so I completely agree with you. That's why I was looking at some of his receiving options and some of the touchdown prop bets, but there's a lot there. There's a lot there. I mean, minus 200 for over 1.5 touchdowns. You're not getting too much meat on the bone as far as return, but I can guarantee you he's throwing over at least 2 touchdowns tonight. He's on fire. He's absolutely on fire.
Yeah, the dude is incredible. Unfortunately, though, Nick said any bet for Josh Allen is a good one here tonight. So I'd hold my breath if I were you, Greg. Maybe Nick just kind of jinxed your bet there, too, because he is
the Grim Reaper.
He literally is the Grim Reaper of bets. I've known him long enough to kind of figure that one out myself.
Yeah, I don't get it, though. It's like I have a good buddy of mine. His name's Brett. He makes a bunch of bets on PointsBet. I'm like, all right, just shoot him my way, and I'll do the same as you. Yesterday he hit. I didn't place those, and then I follow another set of bets that he had. Of course, we missed the parlay by one. I'm like, son of a gun, man! Like I just can't get it on the right day, the right time, the right bet. Give me some money, but.
Isn't that interesting with some of these sharks out there that like are really good at sports gambling, and it's just like appears that way. Like I have a friend, his name's Johnny B, and he's a big gambler. And man, you'd think he would never have to work another day in his life the way he bets sports. And they always tell you like, oh, well, they don't tell you about the losses. They only tell you about the wins. But at the same time, I'm watching this guy eat up every day. So I'm pretty sure he's winning more than he's losing. I don't know. It's a tempting. It's the forbidden fruit for me because I'm a very hard on my sleeve fan. So it's hard for me to bet games, especially ones that I have a rooting interest in because I picked the Bears. I know Nicholas picked the Bears. It can be hard to balance between, being realistic, so to speak, and having that meatball come out in you. Because I'm not doing the Bears Packers dance again at the end of the year. I thought we were in a good spot, Nick.
At least for me. At least for me, I don't bet like teams I root for, Greg. I can't. I feel like it's just a double whammy. If they lose and you lose money, man, does that just sting a little bit more. We have a lot of great stuff that we're going to dive in here tonight. We're going to discuss some lessons learned. We're going to look ahead to the Texans. Nick's going to give some updates from Hallis Hall. Really all the way around. We're just going to keep this train rolling. I saw a comment a little bit ago that I just wanted to kind of bring on the screen from Jack R. The Assembly Call Chat Mob is happy for me. So for people that don't know, that's a podcast that I started as an internship as a student at IU, the Assembly Call. And I know, Greg, we have a shared connection through that one as well, with Brian Tunsani. And he's been a great person in my life as well. But I just want to appreciate Jack R for bringing that up.
Yeah,
isn't he?
He's a stand-up human being. Love Brian, Assembly Call. Those guys do an amazing job. Amazing job.
Yeah, I want to be here today if it wasn't for those guys bringing me in back, I think, 2015 season. I never did any sort of talk show, radio show, podcast before. Helped out a little bit on editorial side, and they brought me on, and here we are. Life is funny that way. Cody,
I'm back,
did you get
guys.
the internet gremlins figured out?
I rebooted the modem. I hope that I am much better now.
You look clear and clean. Clean as a
Thank you.
whistle. You look like
Thank
$1
you.
million.
Awesome. Thank you.
Speaking
I
of $1
appreciate
million
that coming
bucks,
from you, Braggs.
No, you look like you look like the Cubs just won by 12. And
Oh,
you and Luke are
it's
living
not
the
happening
dream.
very often these days, but I like to think that that's what's happening all the time, right?
One day.
Anyway, did you guys give you some of your plays? I'm interested in what you guys like as well.
Nick, Greg, tell them what you guys had. I want to see his thoughts.
Yeah, like I was saying to these guys, Jamison Crowder I thought was interesting. Anytime touchdown plus 375. To be the first touchdown scorer plus 1,500. If you watch that first game, Jamison Crowder was getting involved in the offense with Josh Allen. He's somebody that understands how to sit down in zones. He's a veteran wide receiver, and he's a good fit for this team. So I just imagine if they get in the red zone and they can't run it in, and you're trying to find that little, crack in the, defense. I think Jameson is the type of guy that could find it because all the attention obviously is going to go to their bigger wide receivers. And then you got Jameson running around in the slot.
Nice.
Yeah, for Cody, I just like Josh Allen. He scores touchdowns. So first touchdown plus 600. I'm like, all right.
He's
Again, I preface like I suck at sports betting. Like everything I bet on usually doesn't happen. But it just made sense to me. So that's what I went with.
Okay. All right. Well, before I left, I said that I'm not big on trends, but the under trend on primetime is one that I have been writing to year. It's undefeated in primetime. The under is hit primetime game so far this year, and I'm gonna keep riding it until I lose. Probably not, but that's just how I do things. I read a stat before the year that the under in primetime since 2017 has hit 61% of the time. So that's better than 50%. I like the chances of it hitting. It's not fun to take unders. I like cheering for points, but I also watch the Bears. So I mean, it is what it is. So yeah, I'm taking the under on Titans Bills tonight. I kind of like it in general anyway, because I think the Bills, they had that great first game of the season, right? On offense. I feel like maybe I'm not saying that they're going to lose or anything like that, but I don't know if it'll be as great again back-to-back weeks. And, coming off the, that great game they had first game of the year against the Rams, making a statement to the league. Now they're going up against a Titans team that honestly I think is at least better than what they were against the Giants. With that said, I like the Titans to cover 10 tonight. I think that the point spread's too high. I think that it opened at 7 and just moved straight towards the Bills end. And I think a lot of that has to do with overreactions from week one. You know how that happens. Even we did a little bit with the Bears after them beating the 49ers, right? So, and with the AFC South so wild at this point, I don't think anyone thought the Colts would be 0-2 after the first two games. This is the Titans' chance to really not necessarily take a hold of the division. I mean, it's 2 games in, right? But this is kind of a big game for them in terms of just being able to hang around. And coming into the year, I wasn't high on the Titans. I think getting rid of AJ Brown was a mistake. We'll see with Treylon Burks. I don't know, but I don't know. I just think that the Titans are going to hang around tonight. I don't even know if they're going to win. I just think they hang around. I think 10 points is too much. So those are the 2 bets I got for the first game.
10's a big number. I get that.
It is. And I mean, I took the Bears to cover last night, and I knew I shouldn't have. I did it mainly as a fan. But yeah, if I wasn't a Bears fan, I would have probably taken the Packers just based off the trends and everything in that series. But I digress. Anyway, I like the Vikings to cover. I kind of like Vikings on the money line tonight because you can get it at plus 120. Vikings coming off a really good game against the Packers. Could there be a letdown? Perhaps. But I also think the Eagles just didn't look that great against the Lions last week. So yeah. I think it'll be close. If you give me a field goal, I got them at 3. I think it's going to close here in the next hour or two. It's down to 2.5. Like I got it at 3. I think that's really key when you're betting on the NFL or just football in general. If you can get 3 or 7, and with the trend on the under, I'm taking the under. I got the under at 50.5. Now it's down to like last I checked was 48. So maybe some other people are coming in on that as well. But yeah, as far as my reasoning a lot for the Vikings, like I said, coming off against the Packers, I just think Justin Jefferson's a beast. I don't think there's anyone that can stop him, man. And Dalvin Cook, like I don't want to think that the Vikings are going to be great. Like, I don't want them to be, but they looked really good in that first week against a good Packers team. I understand it was week 1, but still, like, if the Eagles just didn't impress me enough against the Lions for me to take the Eagles this week, even though they're at home. And when you're gambling on the NFL, the 3 points, it's basically a toss-up. So I think it's close. I just hope the Vikings are within a field goal before this one ends. So
I'm with you on the Justin Jefferson thing. I mean, he's the real deal, Holyfield. And this, you saw how much the Lions put up on the Eagles last week. That was a shootout. So, Minnesota showed they can put up some points against a Packers defense that we learned is pretty good. So, Justin Jefferson, to get 100 plus yards is plus 100, to get plus 125 plus yards, that's plus 240. And to get 150 plus yards, that's plus 550. I mean, there's a risk to each of those levels, but I'm considering at least the plus, over 125 yards. This guy gets them pretty quickly. He gets them in chunks.
Right. Well, I love that you bring up the alternate spreads, or I guess alternate receiving yards for Jefferson, because Sean Anderson last night, he took the Packers minus 16.5 at plus 195 or something like that, or plus 240, some crazy shit like that. And of course it hit for him, which I was happy for him for his bank account. But I was also pissed. I was so mad that he would just do that though. But I get it. Sometimes you just gotta sacrifice your team to make money, man.
At least it takes the sting of a loss out if your wallet gets a little bit fatter.
Absolutely. And admittedly, I've bet against the Bears and against the Packers many times, like every single time last year and the season before that. But last night I just felt different, and I wish I didn't, but I felt like they were gonna be in it. And if that touchdown, if they call that a touchdown, maybe they do cover. I don't know. That game was just so frustrating. And I know that we're not supposed to have high expectations for this team this year, but I don't know about you guys. We've gone through too many rebuilds. I want results. Is that too meatballish of me to say?
No, you're damn right. It's been this last decade plus. Rebuild, retry, retool. Nah.
Right.
By the way, you said that you were kind of you were feeling it. Didn't you say on Twitter last week it was like Nick and I's preview or something like that? You're like, hell yeah, I'm down. Let's go. We changed your mind.
Yeah. No, Will, you talked me into
son of a bitch. I'm
the
sorry.
11 wins. You talked me into the 11 wins, and I was like, okay, but I appreciate it because I just think so pessimistically about this franchise. And if you watch the Cubs show, if there's anyone in the chat that watches the Cubs show, everyone knows that I am the super optimist when it comes to the Cubs, which just makes no sense considering the history of the Cubs. But maybe that's just what it is supposed to be. If you're a Cubs fan, every year before 16 was there's always next year, blah, 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 all the jokes that I've heard my entire life. But with the Bears, it's all I've just never been able to buy in. I think 2018 was the one year outside of the year they went to the Super Bowl where I was like, this team, it has it. This team's going to do it. And every year other than that, though, it's I'm out by week 5 at the earliest.
Yeah, but Cody, it's about doing the rebuild the right way.
Absolutely.
Cubs,
Absolutely.
how many years for us growing up, they'd get one guy, the Felix PA or Corey Patterson or Mark Pryor. It was always just the one guy that was going to save us. But it wasn't until Theo came in and ripped it up from the ground and said, I'm going to build this from the bottom. And we heard a lot of that in the presser with Eberflus and Ryan Poles. even George McCaskey talking about how you build a house and the foundation. And I'm like, come on, I'm a bricklayer. Like, this is my area, George. Let me take this. But it is the truth. It's brick by brick. I say it all the time, and I'm sure I'll get some eye rolls from it, but it is the truth. And you need that consistency of laying each brick. And it doesn't seem like much, but then after a while, now all of a sudden you have a house. And they have to do this the right way. And they never took the GM and the head coach out at the same time. It was always rolling over a head coach into the GM or GM into the head coach, or, and you can even throw the quarterback into that to some extent, but that's kind of what happened in this situation with Justin Fields rolling into this GM and head coach. But at the same time, you got to do it the right way. And I just, we're tired of rebuilds, but you get tired of rebuilds because you don't rebuild it the right way. So you build the house and set the foundation the right way, and then you can get what we got as Cub fans in 2016. So, I understand patience is not a virtue here in Chicago. We haven't had much to cheer about on a consistent basis outside of Michael Jordan and Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves and the Blackhawks. So I get it, but at the same time, if we want sustained success, we got to be able to, rebuild this the right way.
Yeah, I keep telling myself that. I love that you've said it multiple times, Braggs. Telling yourself to not get too high or too low. And that first win in week 1, Justin Fields sliding into the end zone after the game, we create the most badass shirt we're ever going to create this company. Probably not. We'll probably have better ones after. That was a game that we will remember, I feel like, for a really long time. And that energy carried over into last night. And that's why I thought differently about going into a Bears-Packers game, because they had so much momentum. And I was telling myself, I don't think we're going to win, but just don't get embarrassed on prime time again. And it wasn't the worst Bears loss against the Packers, but it still was ugly.
It was an ass kicking. It was an ass kicking. Somebody put. I feel like this is the same Bears game I've been watching every year for 30 years, and it really was. I mean, they caught up at the end, but they were getting their ass kicked for most of the game. Right. So that's why
I think what hurts was that just Fields just didn't have a good game. However you want to look at it. I'm not analytically sound as you guys are when it comes to how good a quarterback is or isn't, but 11 passing attempts. I know there was more opportunities for sure for that, but they couldn't move the ball, all these different things. And I feel like if Fields would have had a great game and went toe to toe somewhat with Aaron Rodgers, I would have felt okay. That would have been the best moral victory in my Bears fandom against the Packers. I feel
that's what you want to see, Cody. Yeah. Right. If Justin Fields is balling out and they're still losing, that's the whole point of this season, really. There was supposed to be low expectation because the talent's not there, but if Justin Fields looking good, he's going to Lambeau Field and competing with Rodgers. You still, as a Bears fan, we got the guy. Through 2 games, we've seen 27 pass attempts, 28 pass attempts. So we still need to obviously see him play the quarterback position and do it the right way. So yeah, I completely agree. If that was a scenario, hey, it's still the Bears somehow get their ass kicked, but he's making the throws, making the decisions that you want to see. Then you come out of Lambeau feeling at least we know number 1 is that guy. And not to say that he isn't at this point, but that's a scenario where if you still lose to the Packers as a Bears fan, you're all right, we're still on track here. And that's what you ultimately want to see this season.
But what hurts more, Justin struggling and the lack of a pass attack in general? And I know these two go hand in hand, or the fact that Darnell Mooney, who's supposed to be that wide receiver 1, take that next step yet again, has been MIA, 8 yards in week 1, -4 yesterday. He actually took his season total down in the game by half of his production. And by the way, I looked it up last night too. 53 tight ends have caught a pass this year in the NFL. 53. And Cole Kmet has 0.
53 tight ends.
I was pretty hard on Cole last night. He is starting to get on my nerves. I mean, it was 1 pass, but it hit him right in the numbers, and he dropped it. And I
don't know why he jumped.
He has this awkward jump when he doesn't need to. And the thing that really pissed me off most about it was, Justin Fields got laid out on that play. Kenny Clark just completely manhandles Sam Musselman, throws him to the side. And now here comes, Justin Fields, having to take all that on. And he stands in the pocket and makes the throw. And I believe that was first down. So that's a drive changer. And you drop that pass. Now all of a sudden it leads to another 3 and out. You got to pick your quarterback up. He's having a tough time. He's trying to do everything he can to get the momentum going on offense, and you just can't get it when you have things like that happening. So that really disappointed me. Cole Kmet's got to get going. It's year 3, so I'm taking the kid gloves off when it comes to Cole Kmet. He's got to step up, or he's going to continue to get heat from the Braggs residents, even my daughter Addison.
I agree, man. I don't know what it is with this franchise. I don't know what it is with this franchise and tight ends, man. Like since Greg Olsen got traded stupidly, like Trey Burton had some nice games, but then the playoff game we all know. Like I don't know. I'm with you, Braggs. Like he has to be better. Like we need him to be better because like the lack of real weapons for Fields is really showing these first 2 weeks. I think that's like the biggest thing. And like, there's just no, like I would assume that Mooney would have been so much more involved these first 2 games, and he just hasn't been. I think that's probably the biggest surprise to me in general with that. And I don't understand. I don't know if he's not getting open. I don't watch the all 22.
I mean, people were very hard on Allen Robinson last year. I get it. He wasn't giving 100% effort because he was upset with his contract situation, and he was done with Matt Nagy for all intents and purposes. But at the same time, that's somebody that the defense has to account for. He has a reputation in this league.
Josh Allen touchdown.
Josh Allen into the end zone.
Passes to who's this, number 41? Wow, this whoever it was, I think it was the tight end, just broke like 2 tackles on a.
Is that Dawson Knox?
No, it's Reggie Gillum.
Yep.
Reggie Gillum. So he would have got you big numbers for first touchdown of the day. I mean, what was his? I
that must have been good odds there. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. They already changed it. See, I got to get used to this, Cody. I'm just breaking into this gambling scene, and I'm gonna go broke, and we're gonna have to move my family into your house, Cody. But
my best, I've hit one first touchdown bet. Well, not ever, but I've hit a few. But I had a free bet. This was a few years ago on PointsBet, obviously, and I bet Zach Moss to get the first touchdown in a Monday Night Football game for the Bills against whoever, I don't even remember. And he was at like plus 3,000 something. I don't know. Like it was juicy, man. There was a lot of juice in it. And I don't remember why I made the bet, but I made the bet and he scored the first touchdown. And what was wild was that there was like 2 or 3 other guys that Allen had like thrown to, or they had handed off to. And either they didn't get it in on the run, or the few passing plays that they did, and they just didn't either catch it, or there was the defense was there. Like there's so many situations where I should have lost that bet, and then I did win. I ended up winning. I was like, I'm never going to win a better first touchdown bet ever again. And I haven't to this day, still haven't. It's been like a year or 2 now. I won like 300 some bucks. It was awesome.
So I just want to ask like the room real quick. So we were talking about like Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet not getting production. Like what will fix that? Like, would it be? There we go. That was my bad. My fat thumb hit a button over here on the side. I was like, "What's happening?"
That like button, though.
I got the fat thumbs around here.
Use your fat thumb to hit that like button. That's always a good thing to do.
We need that thing smashed throughout the entire episode here tonight. But Nick, I actually just want to ask you this first, because you're watching it, from a different vantage point than we were yesterday, and of course you saw the first game too. Is this like more like Mooney not having somebody else to kind of take the attention away? And is that supposed to be Cole Kmet? Is it like we're kind of getting burned on both ends of the stick here? Because like the more I think about it, like that's where my mind goes.
I think there's a couple different factors when you look at like the production and lack of it for Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney. I think that is, that was something that we talked about all offseason. Like Darnell Mooney's going to have to be the guy. Now you're going to get shadowed by the number one cornerback. You're going to have coverage roll your way now because you have to respect that speed that he has. But also, like we've seen through these 2 games, the Bears want to run the football. And that was the game plan going into last night's game against the Packers. They wanted to run the ball down their throats. That's what Field said in his post-game press conference, that Luke Getsy went up to and told him that. And they really did stick to it, but we just haven't seen as many pass attempts. There are some plays where it kind of looks like maybe Fields is coming off a read a little bit too quickly. And again, maybe he's not trusting the line in front of him. There's, again, a whole bunch of different factors, but easily, Will, I think that is a part of it. This is first time really, even though Allen Robinson wasn't being very productive, you still had to respect 12 out there. Like he could pop off at any moment. And even though he never did that season as a defense, like we know Allen Robinson's track record. He was producing with Mitch Trubisky. We know what he's capable of. So then, maybe it made things a little easier for Darnell Mooney. And yeah, through 2 weeks, it has not panned out. My fantasy team can tell you that. I have Mooney on it. And God damn it, I'm playing against Justin Jefferson, so I already know that's not going to happen today. But it's gonna take some time, though. But Justin said after the game that Darnell Mooney's a guy that can come out of like games with 0 catches, and he's still going to be the same guy. And essentially, he's been doing that through 2 weeks, so he's still the same guy. But we need for this offense to be productive. And Matty Eberflus said this today. They need to be a part of it. He said the passing game is a concern, but those two absolutely need to be a part of the passing game if the Bears are going to go anywhere this season.
Is it fair to?
Oh, I'm sorry, Will. I was just going to say
good.
I apologize. The guy that I think that we're missing is Velus Jones. I know he doesn't have a reputation in this league, but at the same time, he has dynamic. He's electric. He's extremely fast. He has great separation ability. So when he gets out there, and they're running him in motion in the backfield or even stretching the field deep, even if they don't throw the ball to him, that's going to help get eyes off of Darnell Mooney. You can't help but pay attention to where Velus Jones is at on the field. I understand he's unproven, but that's what they're missing on this team right now. I apologize, Will.
No, you're good. I was actually going to set you up for exactly that. I wanted to know if it was fair.
I just jumped in front.
Yeah, a little bit. You jumped the gun, but I just want to know, is it fair to put those expectations on him to be the guy to open up this offense? I see a lot of Bears fans like you, Greg, that are hoping for. I've been super high on Velus ever since the Bears drafted him. In the pre-draft process too, just someone as I wanted the Bears to go and target and bring into this team. I like the guy a lot, but he didn't have a full training camp. He barely had much practice there. He's dealing with that soft tissue injury that, can linger, take some time. And I just feel like it doesn't seem like a recipe for success right away. And I don't want to say and put the pressure on him or the weight on his shoulders to be like, yeah, you're the guy that's actually going to open up this entire offense. If he does, great. I think everyone here is going to be happy about it, but is that actually fair expectations?
No, he doesn't even have to catch a pass. I'm just the eyes. Everybody's focused. It's all you have to focus on in Darnell Mooney. All respect to St. Brown, Byron Pringle. These guys are role players within the system. To me, Velus has that electricity that you're always your eyes are going to, it's like a magnet. You got to look at it, and so that's going to help Darnell Mooney. That's going to help Cole Kmet. I'm not saying he has to have 8 catches to have an impact to help these other guys out. Just his presence on the field is going to help because, like I said, we saw it at camp early on. It was real early, but when he's streaking downfield, you see the separation ability. We didn't even really see the gadgetry that we all assume is going to be a part of the Velus Jones package. So now you've got this guy running in motion in the backfield. They're doing different things. Obviously, everyone's talked about the Deebo Samuel role, but regardless, that's going to be things that the linebackers, they have to account for that. Everybody's got to account for that on the field, and now that's going to open up some things for Darnell Mooney. That's where my headspace is at with Velus. I'm also very high on him, but he's got to get on the field. He's got to get healthy.
Yeah, and those things like hamstrings, I wish we could bring on Mason West here to talk about it a little bit, but those things can linger and can be difficult, and it's one of those it feels good one day, you overuse it, and then you can get back to that tightness and soreness, and man, those things can really, really just derail a player for a good chunk of time. I have plenty more that I want us to get to here today, but first I want to let you know that This is, of course, football season, and PointsBet is bringing you a better way to bet live on games, which, of course, there's 2 tonight that you can do that, which means before this ad is over, you can place a live same-game parlay, bet on the next drive to be a touchdown, and cash out on your live second-half over bet. With PointsBet, you have access to more live football markets than ever before. Build the perfect live same-game parlay by combining your favorite bets anytime during the game, including spreads, totals, player props, and more. Choose the outcome of the next drive and next points with PointsBet Lightning Bets. So whether you are on the move or on the couch, do it live on PointsBet. Download the PointsBet app today. Use our code CHGO to get your first 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER for crisis counseling and referral services.
Yeah, and real quickly, I need to tell everybody about Game Time. And first, I'm just going to ask our listeners and viewers a quick question. Have you ever dreamed of sitting in the seat you never thought you could? How about the 50-yard line? Courtside, behind home plate, floor seats at a concert? I'm sure you have, because I know each one of us have also thought the same exact thing, and it's possible with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats you thought you could never buy. You won't find a better deal this season on Bears tickets. If you still want to go, even after that ass whooping from the Packers, there's still plenty of season left, and you could definitely check out the best seats in town on the Game Time app. And if you love CHGO, then you'll also love Game Time. The best way to support us is to buy your tickets through the link in the description so you can join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and score the best seats to all your favorite seats.
Yeah, like Nick said, definitely use the link here in the YouTube description. It's also in the podcast description. So whatever player you're consuming the show on, you can definitely use that link. Help us out. Help yourself out. Get some cheap tickets. And not just Bears. I'm sure there are some cheap Cubs tickets laying around too, guys. No, it's cheap Sox tickets too.
There is. I went to the game yesterday for less than $40 total for two tickets.
That's
there you go. We probably get in for like an Abraham Lincoln in Southside right now.
Yeah. No, you can.
All right. So I know we've been kind of like, harping on some negatives, and I think that's super warranted just given everything that transpired last night.
It's healthy.
It is. You have to get it out. Like, you can't internalize it. That's why I was up till 4 a.m. I was internalizing all that anger and frustration. I was sitting here waiting to go live on that postgame show. My foot's just tamping on the ground. Like, get me in here. I'm ready to go. And damn. Yeah. But I want to switch to a positive here real quick and have a discussion about some Tevin Jenkins. I tweeted a clip earlier today that people are loving, just like I did. I'm sure you guys liked it too, where Tevin Jenkins did what Tevin Jenkins does, and he sticks to his guy, carries him throughout the entire play, and shoves his ass out of bounds. I love seeing that from our right guard. So my question is for you guys, like, when is this right guard back and forth rotation going to end? Is it going to be whenever that cast comes off? Does that make the most sense to allow Lucas Patrick to kind of get some reps so he's not super rusty when he goes in? I can't wait for him to go in center. Sam Mustipher on some of my spot checking yesterday did have, a little bit of struggles to say the least. So this Bears offensive line will be a lot better with Patrick at center and Tevin Jenkins as a full-time right guard. I can't wait for that to be Jenkins' spot, but when does it make sense? Is it something they can just give to him in week 3 and you're okay with, and having Patrick still wait if that cast is still on, or should they keep this rotation until that cast comes off?
Guys, I think it's whenever Lucas can snap the ball, let him go be the center. That's exactly what you paid him here to do. He built that continuity with Justin Fields early on, and it just seems like at this point you're doing it to do it. I don't even know if the rotation at this point makes as much sense, because I think we're seeing what you want to see out of Tevin Jenkins. Like the clip you posted, Will, you're seeing the physicality. You're seeing him, take his man out of the play, and you're seeing some good reps from Tevin Jenkins. Did he struggle at times during the game? Yeah. But I think for the most part, you assess it and say, yeah, Tevin Jenkins is looking like the right guard. Again, now a couple weeks into this new position, because that wasn't his natural fit. But I think that's what it is. And Matty Eberflus was asked about that. Like, there's 2 games of tape with the right guard. When do you go to 1? He said it depends on where we have Lucas. And if he can snap the ball and do it effectively, then you have Tevin Jenkins as your right guard. You can stop the rotation. You kind of saw Sam Mustipher get dislodged a couple of plays. And look, Kenny Clark's a really good football player. But I think once Lucas Patrick is able to just be an effective center, can call out some of the things that are going on in the defense too, that's going to ultimately be best for this offensive line. But that's just what I think. What do you guys kind of
Did anybody
right now?
Did we get an answer on who the quarterback center exchange, who that fell on between Fields and Mustapher last night on the bobble snap?
Yep, nothing there. Yeah.
I want to blame somebody, Nick.
Braggs was the
Thursday.
yell.
Thursday, yeah, there you go. Thursday we get Getsy. I think that'll be a good conversation, and have some fullback questions for that Mr. Luke Getsy when on Thursday.
No, you're trying to get your best five out there. So Lucas Patrick getting to center, leaving Tevin Jenkins at guard is how this needs to shake out. It's fairly obvious that Tevin Jenkins is the most talented offensive lineman they have. He's been through a lot this offseason, and at one point I thought he was as good as gone. Credit to him for putting his head down, tying his bootstraps up, and getting to work and doing what the team was asking of him, even if he didn't completely agree with the role they were trying to put him in. And then, as Will, really highlighted, it was a great clip. I mean, that's stuff you see in college, the way he walked this dude. It's a grown man in the NFL, and he walked this dude all the way to the sideline from the center of the field. That's a long ways to go. And the guy was trying to run away from, get off him, and Tevin just kept going, and you love to see that. That's the kind of rare power that you have to have, that kind of grit and nastiness that you need to have on this offensive line. Tone setters, as I like to call them. So I would leave Tevin where he is and stop messing around with the carousel. I mean, what is it, Nick? Because you're in the locker room. Does Lucas Patrick, just being from this offense, and the familiarity with Luke Getsy, is that what it is? Because I thought last week we were thinking maybe this is a ramp-up period because Lucas was hurt. Get him on the field, get him ready. If the hand isn't ready, if that's what they're still doing, so be it. But at the same time, does he have some sort of impact with communication on that offensive line, being that these guys haven't really found the chemistry yet and that it's a new offensive system for most of these guys?
I would say it's both. There is a respect that these offensive linemen have for Lucas Patrick, especially the young guys. There is just that value he brings to that room, but also he does know this offense. So that was big for, especially learning, and they're still obviously learning the system. But I think it does play into both factors there, Greg, where, Lucas Patrick is familiar with the system, but there's also this leadership aspect that he brings to the team. And, that's why he was made the honorary captain for this week 2 matchup. And he didn't even start the game. It was Tevin Jenkins that started, and you then saw that rotation throughout the entire night. But it is both of those factors. And I think, again, if he was fully healthy, he didn't have the club on his right hand, he absolutely would be your starting center. But, I think just they wanted to see how he could play with it and get him a little bit of reps before eventually he's healthy enough to take over that role.
Again, it does help a little bit because, say, it takes the week 4, 5. God, I hope it really doesn't get to that point. But at least he's not coming in he got hurt halfway-ish through training camp. So it would have been a long period of him not being able to play any football to get jumped back and just thrown right into the fire. So at least this way he does get some reps, and he's out there each and every week. So when he does go back to center, it's not that huge, big leap back into, again, the starting lineup. And then you have Jenkins over there. And I don't want to take any credit for Tevin Jenkins' game, but in the locker room last week, I did interview him a bit. And then after I was done, because he kept mentioning, I didn't know I was going to be here even a few weeks ago, and I'm here. And I felt bad. He's still thinking about that. It's after my interview, and what I love about our job and how I'm a hybrid fan media guy, I told him, dude, I told him that too. I'm a hybrid guy and big fan of you and your game. And I was so happy when he got here into Chicago. And there's a lot of Bears fans just like me who really want you here and want you to succeed. And we know you have all the potential in the world, and just keep hammering away, focus at the task in hand, and just be the best version of yourself out there in the field. And look what he did. He drove the guy out of bounds he did when he was in college. So Will's pep talk obviously paying dividends over there, but obviously to see that, I think, is a really good sign that this man is going to be a really good, not even just that play, but he's sealing off runs. It felt like the Bears wanted to run behind 76. And I think that says a lot about who they believe he can be as someone in the running game. Switching gears real quick, let's talk about the other side.
Touchdown by the Titans, and they ran a shotgun draw for Derrick Henry to get in the end zone. So careful, Bears fans. The shotgun worked for the Titans.
So
I got Derrick Henry. I got Derrick Henry on my fantasy team for the CHGO league.
Ooh. I'm
getting my butt whooped this week by Alex, but I mean, maybe if Henry goes like 5 touchdowns, maybe I can sneak in there. I don't know.
Cody, don't bring up that league. I'm pissed off because I made the league. I made the settings, and I forgot I put the 2 quarterback rule because Adam mentioned it.
Okay,
So.
you know what, Will? I had to ask this. I had to ask. I was thinking, I was like, because I know that the fantasy hardos, like, you do a super flex, you do 2 quarterbacks, and I was doing that in my league for the first time, but I was like, wow, like, Will did a super flex league and he just thought we all just like knew it was going to be super flex. Like the draft was going on and Jared took Josh Allen 1-1. And I was like, is this a 2 quarterback league? And then I looked into it and I was writing in the Slack. I was like, does everyone know this is 2 quarterbacks, by the way? Like, I thought you were just the biggest fantasy hardo of all time. And you were like, yeah, obviously we're doing super flex.
No, I forgot because I was like, well, I forgot who it was. Whoever had the first pick, like went quarterback. I was like, what the hell is going on with this draft? And so I ended up like Kirk Cousins and Daniel Jones like an idiot.
Oh, the first like 4 or 5 rounds, I did the draft at the office. I was sitting next to Luke and I was like, dude, has any of these people ever done fantasy football before? Like Jared just took Josh Allen number 1 overall. Like I got Derrick Henry at like 6 or 7. I thought that was like really good. Like I don't know. Like it was.
Well,
I didn't realize it was a super flex league until like the 4th or 5th round.
I did it like a traditional draft, and somehow I think I was like, hey, Jalen Hurts is gonna hold me over, but fudge. I need some other guys there.
At least, guys, I didn't do that, and I was the only one that actually knew and remembered I did that. And I took the quarterback, someone else did. Then we have a conspiracy on our hands. But I was just like you, and I forgot, and I definitely failed to even mention it because I was like, I think we changed like the league settings a few times that day. Yeah, collusion might. No, I have Daniel Jones and Kirk Cousins. That's the anti-collusion. Like I'm tanking for the 1st round pick next year if we keep this like a league that keeps rolling over each dynasty and every season. Yep. Exactly. Which I can change that setting, Cody. By the way, and I'll let you know if I do.
All right.
All right. Go ahead.
I'm just trying to go 2-0. It's if Derrick Henry scores 5 touchdowns, I might be able to do that. I doubt he does that tonight, though.
So. Looks like a shootout so far. So
yeah, the under is not looking great. But again, I was just riding with the trend. So
that seems to be a theme for you, huh?
I'm not like the biggest trends guy. I just for some reason that one in particular, I like it because like sometimes I've sweated out some over-unders on primetime games where like it's the Chiefs and I don't know, the Rams or something. And you get 2 high-powered offenses. You want to take the over right away. And then it goes under because the defenses show up and you get a few more punts than you expect. And then in the second half, the controlling of the clock becomes a thing and there's less possession or longer possessions and longer drives. And some of those turn into field goals instead of touchdowns. And next thing you know, you got a 51 or 52 point total that misses by like 3 or 4 points. And you're like, this doesn't feel right. So like, that's why I ride with this trend.
Okay, so going back to yesterday's game, something that I just kept thinking throughout this day is like, we talked about it, and Greg, you actually brought it up in the post-game show week 1 to me, like just, raving about that Bears defensive line. And like, you were so excited for me to hop on and to talk about that. But my God, were they just awful last night. When I rewatched the game this morning, I can count as more than 2 hands how many running attempts that the Packers had that the defensive line couldn't even touch a running back. It was just pathetic to watch for the second time. So I just want to know, like, at least from your perspective or just your gut feeling, like, was it just one bad game or is it like actual real cause for concern? Because last week in the monsoon, it's hard to really gauge it like accurately because the footing is completely different. But I thought last night was like our first real look at this unit, and they definitely did not look good. Like, should we be concerned or should we be patient?
No, I think there's a huge cause for concern, and Nick certainly can back me up on this as far as what he's seen with the tape, I think there is something to take from the Niners game, because if you go back and watch that first half of the Niners game, they were killing us sideline to sideline, stretching the edges. Debo Samuel this way, Elijah Mitchell before he got hurt that way. And I think the Packers saw that and our inability to keep up to each sideline. Roquan Smith isn't in the middle anymore. He's on the edge. So you can kind of pick and choose your battles which way you're trying to go. When Roquan was in the middle, he could roam a little bit and chase you down a little easier. Now he's on one side of the field. So I think there's something to be said to that, because the Packers, I feel like, took that from what the Niners did. The majority of that first half, maybe not as much in the second half because it turned into a totally different game in that second half. But at the same time, I think the Packers saw that and attacked that with Aaron Jones. And we just couldn't stop it. They were doing everything. It wasn't just Aaron Jones, too. I mean, one time, Christian Jones was coming in motion a lot. I know one time they fumbled it because of the motion. But at the same time, I think that's the book on the Bears right now, is to sideline to sideline them and see if the Bears can keep up with it. And right now, I don't think they can. And then, you're running right at Roquan as opposed to away from him, where he can be a little more effective chasing you down. Run right at him, bulldoze him out of the way. I mean, that's unacceptable for a guy that's looking to get paid. But that was the game plan, and they executed it perfectly. And I thought it was pointed out a few times on the postgame show last night. Adam Hogue pointed it out quite a bit. It wasn't just that Kyler Gordon was getting attacked in the passing game. He was getting attacked in the run game too. They were going right at him. So I think there is a big cause for concern as far as how this team is going to stop the run.
Yeah, Gordon had a few nice tackles, but there were a lot more that were missed. Jaquan Brisker, same thing, like flew in to make this tackle behind the line of scrimmage, but came in a little bit too hot, was unable to kind of like break down and make a tackle, and just ended up sliding behind the ball carrier. One of my rewatch revelations is an article that'll come out tomorrow for you, everyone in the morning, is like Al-Quadin Muhammad continues to just really let me down. Someone that I thought would be a little bit more impactful, and he just seems slow out there, and he can't keep that contained. There's too many times when they do get to the outside, like you're saying, Greg, where number 55 is kind of like chasing them from behind, but he doesn't have the gas in the tank to actually make a play. And that's why you're seeing like Kingsley Jonathan, I think is his name, the undrafted free agent, came in there too. Dominique Robinson. I'm going to find out that, make sure I got that name right somewhere in my notes. But yeah, it was just the fact that you have to play undrafted guys, because I think 55 isn't playing to the degree that you want him to. I think it's a cause for concern. And when you watch this Packers offensive line just move the line of scrimmage as well as they did, really concerns me, because it just felt like a huge sea of green just pushing their way through with no resistance whatsoever. And it was just honestly just like super frustrating to watch for the second time. Nick, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think, guys, what's also frustrating too is that Matty Rafus and Williams, they knew exactly what the Packers wanted to do. I forget who Matty Rafus did a pre-game kind of interview, not the day before or a couple days before the game. Like, yeah, they're gonna test us along the edges. So they knew that was going to happen, and the Packers were still able to do what they did on the ground and stretch them horizontally. And I said this on the show earlier today. Like, Roquan Smith at the beginning of this week wanted to see the speed of this defense. Now that they're on a neutral field, they weren't going to play in a monsoon where the field conditions were all just not a very, very advantageous for a defense. Neutral, the field was great. Field was way better than what they played in week one, and they could not keep up. Roquan Smith couldn't keep up. The edge players could not keep up. They were chasing after guys once they saw the back of the number of the jersey as they were getting, yards upfield. And that's the thing that was frustrating, is that it kind of it didn't seem like the Packers did anything that was crazy out of the normal. They were attacking you along the edges. They had some motion guys. They got people pulling, and they sealed blocks and executed, yet the Bears couldn't do anything about it. That's what Robert Quinn said today. He's like, what happened in that second quarter where it just felt like you couldn't stop anything? And that's what he said. We just couldn't stop anything that they were doing, yet it was pretty basic stuff. Like, they got to the edge, they used Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, and they just depleted that Bears defense, all three levels, from the defensive line, linebackers, and the secondary. So that's what's frustrating too. It's like we've seen it in training camp, the hustle intensity that this defense played with, and put your track shoes on, right? We all know
Mhm.
Eberflus was saying that. They didn't put on their track shoes on Sunday Night Football. They were just out leveraged, outplayed consistently. And you're wondering, is that just a talent deficiency, or do they need to kind of go back even further to make sure that that's not going to be a reoccurring issue? Because, like Greg said, it was Elijah Mitchell got injured early in that game, and then the 49ers rushing attack wasn't as effective. If he's in there and, maybe that game goes a little differently, but we need to see this run defense step up. I just don't know right now, do the Bears have the personnel, the talent to ensure that doesn't become a reoccurring issue every single week?
The problem with the defensive line too, it's not just like I want them to make the tackles. Like, of course you do. You want them to be the players that end up bottling that thing up right away. However, what they're also doing is diminishing the impact of Roquan Smith because they're not absorbing those double teams. They're allowing them to pretty much do those combo blocks, shed, and get to the second level. And the one thing we've known about Roquan Smith since the Bears drafted him is that when he does get like an offensive guard on him or a tackle on him and they get a good block, he has a real difficult time shedding that block and making a play. So they're putting him in a disadvantage as well. So that too is like another way that just kind of like is a detriment to this Bears defense. Greg kept talking about, you mentioned Kyler Gordon getting picked on both through the air and on the ground. When he played outside last night in base, he had his best plays there, whether it's the PBU in the end zone. There's another pass breakup that he had on a route to Sammy Watkins underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Should he move outside permanently? And I'm asking that with the understanding of I don't know who the heck would actually play slot, and that's also a huge concern.
No, that's a very valid concern, Will. And we had like some for show notes here, like big picture topics. Is there too much for Kyler Gordon to handle right now? Being someone that plays inside and outside, you're putting a lot of expectations on the second round draft pick, your first pick for Ryan Poles, and I don't know. It seems like from what the coaching staff is saying that he can't handle all this, but that's a lot to put on, a rookie. And obviously, we know that the Packers don't have the most talented wide receiver yet. If you watch that game and watch the reps with Kyler Gordon, you would think otherwise, right? Because of all the passes that were completed against him. So, and I put that in my notes because I wonder, like, if he just had one role as the outside corner and just understanding this is my assignment. We know that Jalen Johnson's not flipping sides and they're not swapping. It's like, I know I got this. Here's my assignment. Let me learn this. Because that's a lot to ask. Like the responsibilities for the nickel corner are far different from the outside corner, especially when it comes to zone coverage. So Kyler Gordon's got a lot on his plate. Not to say that he can't handle it. I'm just wondering if he was just asked to be that outside corner. And like you said, Will, that leaves the big question, who the hell is playing on the inside? I don't know, but it just seems like maybe that would be a better option. But then again, there would be a liability on the inside. So maybe Kyler Gordon at the expense of the entire team has to do both because right now he is the best option.
Is it weird to me? Like, I know a lot, like he rightfully so, he deserves some criticism after last night's game, but is it weird for me to not be too worried about it just based off the Bears' history of developing corners? Like, am I not hating it? Am I not being critical enough? Like, I don't know. Like, that's just kind of how I feel.
There's no reason.
I think I'm willing to wait it out because he is a rookie, like Nick said, and I don't know. I just the way that they've been able to develop corners like Jalen Johnson, for example, I feel like there's a lot of upside there. But yeah, he has to play better. Like that's a fact.
This is why we have to keep our expectations low. I said it all off season, and then after one win in the rain, I completely went against the grain on what I told myself for 6 months. But why would I listen to myself? Nobody else listens to me. So but no, there's no reason to hit the panic button on Kyler Gordon. Jaquan Brisker didn't have the greatest night either. Chase, we're talking about the Packers pushing the edges. Well, on that touchdown run to Aaron Jones, Jaquan Brisker is as late as you can possibly be to recognize it. Well, you talk about base, with Kyler Gordon and Jaquan. I'm sure when it's just base, they're not moving. They can see what's right in front of them. They can recognize what's about to happen. They can make a play. When you start throwing things at them that they haven't really seen that much, that's when the rookie moments are going to happen. So no, there's no reason to hit the panic button. Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker are very talented players. Dom Rob's a very talented player, but you're gonna have, welcome to the big leagues moments throughout the year. And that's why we have to just continue to remind ourselves this is a long way to go. This is a process. The foundation is being set. Ryan Poles seems like he understands how to draft, and that's a huge key. These are good players, but it's going to take time. They need reps. You don't get the kind of reps that you want to get in the preseason or training camp like you used to. It's not very physical. So these are the first couple games where they're really hitting pads and getting full game reps. So it's going to take some time. These guys aren't going to become Pro Bowlers overnight, but they have that potential. So, yeah, Bears fans shouldn't be writing these rookies off by any means, Kyler Gordon included. Yeah, he got picked on. That's what Aaron Rodgers does. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers finds those guys, and he's going to go at you and see what you can handle. Hey, Kyler Gordon battled, as Will mentioned. He had a tackle on Aaron Jones in the backfield. He didn't miss all of his tackles. He missed a few when the running back had a full head of steam. But at the same time, he's out there battling. It's not like he was showing a lack of effort. I mean, look at how he got beat. He almost got beat on a touchdown pass that almost was in the end zone. He recovers, knocks the ball down, and makes a great play. So that's what you want to see at this point. The recognizing of what they're trying to do against you will come in time. So, patience, young grasshoppers.
No, with Gordon too, it's you mentioned the one play in the backfield. He had a really impressive tackle, like really early in this game, like right in the middle, in the heart of the defense, and like Gordon on the tackle. And I looked up at the screen, it's like, really? He's in there? And like I rewatched it today. I was like, oh yeah, number 6 is in there with like the rest of the defensive tackles making this play. And even the touchdown that he gave up was just a very difficult pass to defend. He was lined up in the slot with Allen Lazard, and I counted like one miss. I can't even get like a full Mississippi out before Rodgers released that ball. And Lazard, his release off of the snap, showed a little bit like he's going to go outside. So Gordon, of course, was like shadowing and trying to get some of that leverage, which opened up, unfortunately, the inside. Eddie Jackson wasn't able to recover to kind of help in that area of the field too. And again, that ball was out before Lazard even broke in. It's just that chemistry that Rodgers and Lazard have that make that almost nearly impossible to defend. And for a rookie, I think that's even more so true.
No, absolutely. Well, yeah, like Kurt was saying, no reason to hit the panic button on these guys. And once they see more reps, like Matty Eberflus said, they're invaluable. Like, yes, you're going to mess up. Of course, you're a rookie and you have a quarterback like that on the other side. They're going to test you. And for the most part, like the Packers won that, and they should. Like that's a very high octane offense, even despite not having the wide receivers. They know where to go, how to set people up. But it's now what Matty Eberflus told Kyler Gordon today. He says, like, go back, watch the plays that you thought you didn't do well on, put that in your files. And then go back through those files. How do you go about winning that rep the next time so that when it happens on the game field, hey, you're one play better than you were before. That's how Matty Eberflus is. And it's probably the biggest coach speak ever, like 1 play better, 1%, all that stuff. And, again, you can maybe roll your eyes at that, but honestly, that's what it's going to take. Just looking through each specific play, seeing how you can get better at that specific one so that you don't repeat it. And that's the thing he said. That's the thing about being a pro. You don't keep repeating the same mistakes. And if Kyler Gordon can get that, and I'm pretty sure he can. He's a quick learner. That's why he's playing 2 positions right now on the defense. I'm sure he's going to be able to learn from it and, ultimately become a better player.
Yeah. Guys, I like to use baseball analogies since I am the Cubs guy. And
sure,
as a guy who's watching a team that has a bunch of rookies on it, and there's been guys who've come up from the minor leagues and have, showed some promise and have given me some sort of hope. I have to continuously tell myself, though, to not get too high or get too low on them because, like you guys have all said, they're going to go through those growing pains because they're rookies. So I think it's like that's like the best way you can really explain it. Is just if you don't have the experience in the league, it's just it's a different game for those guys until they really get the reps, until they really get the experience and understand and just get comfortable playing in the NFL. I mean, this is the second game of their careers, right? Like, and they go up to Lambeau and play against one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Like, it's already bad enough knowing that they're going to go do that, and then knowing the history between the Bears and the Packers, especially recent history. Like, honestly, that's a lot of pressure to put on some rookies to go out there and like try and shut some guys down. So I guess for me, I expected a little bit better, but that was because we were coming off that huge win against the 49ers, and that's on me. That's not on them, I guess. That's on me for having those expectations. And that's kind of like what Bragg said, getting up too high or getting too low. So,
and I share some of the blame too, like we talked about earlier. I'm sorry for getting you optimistic, but that's just who I am.
That's fine.
It's crazy. Like, I've been a lifelong Bears fan to like a fault, and despite all the ups and downs, like I can find the silver linings. I can look at the glass half full, and I think that's good, because we have to have some balance out here in the world. And exactly. But real quick, we do need to pause, quick timeout, and we'll get back to the show here. But first, I want to let you know about Chi-Town Cornhole. Chi-Town Custom Cornhole, the #1 cornhole provider for Chicagoland and Illinois since 2007. Their signature box style design can be digitally printed, covered in vinyl, and painted. Their cornhole bowl boards come with built-in drink holders, recessed in on the back, LEDs that light up the whole exterior, handles for easy carrying, and handcrafted score keepers. Veteran owned and operated, they can ship anywhere. They offer local pickups, and specializing in corporate designs. Our company's marketing or social event, wedding gifts, and gifts for all occasions, and especially for tailgaters and backyard barbecues. You guys have seen the CHGO boards. I have not been up since those have been made to actually look at them. Like, do the pictures even do those justice? Because it looks badass.
They're sick, dude. Like, I can't wait to get those out at the tailgate on Sunday. Those are awesome. I do the pictures do them justice? No, they're that awesome in person.
I can't.
Yeah,
wait
no. Greg and I have
myself.
to play. Greg and I have to play on that
talking
tailgate before I go.
Too many people about this.
I know.
I'm ready.
Right before, So Will and I will be there at the tailgate, and might as well talk about it because we had the boards there, but the tailgate's gonna be awesome. So if you haven't, check that out. Definitely go to allchgo.com. You can find more information about it. But yeah, I have to play some bags before I head up to the press box at Soldier Field to, see a Bears victory rebound here in Week 3 against the Houston Texans. But looking forward to it too. Yeah, because Greg, there's been some.
No, I gotta find a teammate because all I'm doing is trash talking everyone. So somebody has to be my teammate though too. So I gotta figure this out before I
Bragg's I'll be your teammate.
Too many enemies.
Are we just gonna split down the line here on Sunday morning?
Yeah, there we go.
Let's go.
I'm bringing my girlfriend with me and a few other friends, but I mean, I will gladly play with you, man. I love. It's gonna be 4 hours from 8 to noon. Like, there's plenty of time to play with other people.
Yeah, my wife's gonna be there too, but she's not allowed to be on my team because she can't throw. I need a ringer. I'll be too hard on her in front of you guys. I'm competitive. I can't help it.
All right. Some more details about this tailgate, in case you want to hang out with us. Like, I think you should. It's going to be a great time. So it's at the corner of Michigan and Roosevelt. And the ticket for our tailgate includes all you can drink beer, all you can eat food from local food trucks, all inclusive. And the parking ticket includes secure parking during the game with a quick walk to Soldier Field. I think it's only a 15-minute walk. So I'll be parking at the stadium, walking over to the tailgate, hanging out for a bit before I have to go back in and, do my job, which is kind of unfortunate because I'd rather, I think, just tailgate and have fun that morning. And here's a great graphic. And Nick said, like Nick mentioned, you can head to allchgo.com and get all of the details. And we do have a link below in the description here on YouTube and your podcast player too. So definitely check it out. But it's going to be a really good time full of not just your CHGO Bears personalities getting to hang out with them and us, but also others like Cody. And I'm sure not almost everyone, but like a large number of everyone at CHGO is going to be there for our biggest and best tailgate yet. I know we've had one at a Sox game. We did one for the Fire and Red Stars, which was also great. But Bears tailgates just have a completely different feel. And Braggs is there, who is like the champion of tailgates.
Yeah, I'm a professional tailgater, no doubt about it. And Bears tailgates have a lot of tradition behind them. So I'm excited for CHGO to kind of put their mark on that. I did see somebody had asked CHGO on Twitter, like, will there be any alcohol besides beer? Because I don't drink beer, and they said that there will be. So if you're not a beer drinker, there will be other options there. You're gonna have a food truck, bags, a few different games. We'll have a DJ there. My guy Trey Tunes, I'm excited for that. He's a really good dude and a really good DJ. He's gonna be there. And when we say a 15-minute walk, like if you're parked in the back of South Lot and you have to walk all the way to the stadium from there, it's a very similar walk distance wise. And you can't get in South Lot. Like South Lot, if you go on a secondary market and try to get a parking ticket, it's like $350. Wow. If I went on StubHub right now, because those tickets are, people own those for the season. So those parking spots by the stadium are not available. So if you're trying to park and you're just coming for one game and you have an opportunity to come over to our tailgate, it's a one-stop shop. You've got the parking spot, you've got all you can eat, all you can drink, it's all there. So you ain't got to bring all that crap with you. We are going to have it set up for you and all the entertainment. And obviously you can hang out with us. So please come on out. It's going to be the first one. So there's going to be, a large contingent there, a lot of people hanging out and shaking hands and getting smoked in bags. Come on out and see if you got some game.
I think the website you mentioned to get that parking pass, they may be expensive. So people should look at Game Time to get those cheaper tickets for the game. I don't know if they do parking passes, but I just wanted to throw that extra plug in there for a great partner of ours. One more thing.
Parking's limited too in our lot. So I'm not sure if those are sold out or not, but make sure you look into that because there is that upgrade edition.
Good point there, Greg. One thing about tailgates that I actually just remembered, Nick, the first day we met in person, we went to a Bears tailgate.
Yeah, that was a day that I somewhat remember. Yeah,
I was gonna say we were literally we just turned 21 that year, and it was we were doing our podcast and got invited to a tailgate, and we just walked up, didn't know what to expect. And like, hey, you don't have to pay us anything. All you can eat, all you can drink. That's dangerous for some 21-year-olds heading into a Bears game. All you can drink, and he didn't want to pay the $9 a beer there. So yeah, like you, that was the Bears and Jaguars.
Who was the quarterback of that game? Was it? It was Hoyer, Brian Hoyer, right? Like, so that's probably I had a good time at the tailgate.
Hoyer era.
Yep, but that was a really good time. I'm
what
glad
was your
that
favorite part of the Brian Hoyer era, guys?
Oh yeah, good question.
I think he had a 300-yard game somewhere in there.
I find myself waking up to saying the Cody-isms to myself. What was your favorite part of this era? Or I'm ready to be hurt again. Like you're just so consistent with them. They are drilled within my mind space, and I wake up thinking these Cody-isms every day. It's like Yogi Berra.
It warms my heart. But I they
instead
are
of Yogi Berra, it's Cody Berra.
They are my things, but I wish I had more hope for our Chicago sports teams. That way I didn't have to tweet I'm ready to be hurt again, because that's basically what it's behind, is that I'm just like there's just not a lot of good teams in the city, man. Like I'm just like, it's hard for me to like get up and be excited about them sometimes. So
still a 7-7 game there between the Bills
scoring
and the Titans.
So now I'm looking smart again, guys. Here we go.
That was like that under's looking really, really good. Yeah. What a trend to hop on. If you haven't yet, maybe there's still a little bit of time for that next game kicks off between the Vikings and Eagles here in 15 minutes. Nick, you were at Hallis Hall here today, and you sprinkled in knowledge throughout the entire episode here this evening. Is there anything that you haven't really hit on from your time at Hallis Hall that our listeners should know here today?
We kind of talked about Justin Fields and the lack of passing attempts. Matt Eberflus was asked today, do you trust Justin? Do you trust him to kind of run this offense? And of course, you're not going to get like a crazy answer from Matt Eberflus, but he said, yeah, of course we trust him. And kind of echoing what I said earlier, that, the game plan last night was to really run the football, but they trust Justin Fields. And I think you're saying that I think we need to see it in the game plan. Obviously you have the Houston Texans in week 3. Maybe if you give him a little bit more opportunities to, get the ball in his hands and to distribute to his playmakers. And we need to see Justin make the plays, but that was something that Matt Eberflus was asked today. We talked about the rotation at guard. So the big thing with Mondays too is like they go over the film. They have this 24-hour period. Like they'll be off tomorrow, so they have the day off on Tuesday. But when it comes Wednesday, it's like, all right, everything we looked at the film. It's time to move on to week 3, and it's a quick turnaround. Whatever the score was, like obviously the Bears won last week, the 19-10. Didn't obviously go into their favor this week, but the scores are the scores. And now come Wednesday, let's get back to practice, move on forward, get ready for week 3 in the Houston Texans. But nothing too big from Matt Eberflus today. Equanimous St. Brown was somebody else that he actually spoke first to the media, which is a little different, a little weird. But there was this play going viral on Twitter where Justin Fields takes a check down. It's the first possession of the third quarter where, Fields, it looks like he's looking to the right, and Equanimous has his right hand up, like wide open. Could be a touchdown. And what he was saying on that play is that he actually ran a different route than what was called. He's supposed to run a curl, but he said he beat the defender so bad, he's like, I'm just going to go for, a vertical route. And that's something that they call a mailbox in their offense, where you can just kind of adjust the play as the play is going on. And Equanimous was saying that we hadn't really even practiced that. And that was like really the first opportunity that had ever happened. So none of the practice scenarios replicated exactly what happened in that game. And that was one of my other points in the show notes that I had today. It's like this passing offense still has a long way to go. Like, obviously, there's still things they're still learning. They got to get that down. Obviously, Fields needs to still be able to assess when is a player going to do that, and when they do it, be on the right page, be able to deliver the football. But overall, there's still so much we need to learn, and so do the players, about what Luke Getsy's passing offense really is. And 28 total attempts in 2 games, you're not going to know it, right? So that's just another little wrinkle. And yes, we see it, like it looks clear and obvious that Fields should go there with the ball, but it wasn't scheduled. That's kind of an on it happened right then and there on the play. So that was another big takeaway. But just hearing that from Equanimous today just made me reinforce like the thought in my head that this is game 2 in a new offense, second coordinator for Justin Fields. There's still so much to learn. So I know we can maybe get on the offense yesterday for what it didn't do, but it's still only the second regular season game for Luke Getsy and this offense that has a rotating right guard, that has wide receivers in and out, that still hasn't really incorporated Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet. So still a lot to build on, but it's gonna be a process, and this is just the early parts of that.
How many catches did St. Brown end up having?
2.
Well, I'm saying, and it was like on that first drive. The first offensive drive, I'm assuming, right?
He got the one on the first one.
Yeah, okay. I just remember tweeting, like, I can't say his first name. How do you say his first name, Nick?
Equanimous?
All right.
EQ?
I just remember
ESB. Just stick with ESB.
I just remember tweeting ESB revenge game after the first catch, and then he died, and I'm like, I jinxed it. My bad, guys. But basically what I'm getting at is that is a little encouraging that because I've heard a lot of fans on social media and even in the chat where they're like, they're not getting separation, this and that. And like you just described a moment where he did, and just the lack of reps, the lack of getting, being together, you knowing each other, right? Like once they get to that point, hopefully you get more of that, and then you get more, right? Like that's what you have to hope as a fan. So that is, to me, the way that you just explained to me, Nick, like that's encouraging to me, because it gives me a little bit more optimism.
It just goes to show you how we can all sit here and Monday morning quarterback everything. Like we know what's going on, in that locker room, or what they're doing, talking about in film review. And I'm glad that you got this out of them, Nick, as far as it's an audible called in the middle of the play. And so we can screenshot it and show how ESB has his hand up, and it makes Justin Fields look like a total fool. But unless you truly understand the context behind the why of why he didn't throw it. And I know we want to avoid the Nagyisms, put the dollar in the Nagy jar for saying his name, but it's the truth. Like, unless you understand the reason for what happened there, you're kind of speaking out of turn. So I'm glad they elaborated on that. And it just highlights the whole point of patience. These guys have not played together. There are moments that are going to come like that where, we want Justin Fields to grip it and rip it, but he's got to have that chemistry and be able to see that and be on the same page as soon as it happens in the instant moment, in the middle of, the pass rush coming right at him. So, these are the things that I think fans underestimate that makes us an offense successful. So I'm glad we got that tidbit of information today out of House Hall. So thank you, Nick. Great job.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
One thing that just hurt that offense too was once they went down early in the game, they were just, Nick mentioned, off schedule in that one play, but they were just off schedule in general, going behind the sticks and having to work their way back, just to do all those negative plays. And for an offense that's going through obvious growing pains, making it more difficult to gain a first down is not going to do it. Justin had some time, but unfortunately, like, either he couldn't find the open man, no one was either open, and then the pressure finally got to him, and he had to either find something to do, and it just was not good. And the Bears were able to extend those drives, just even a couple of them, and move the chains. You would have saw more passing attempts. I guarantee you would have. It's just they didn't have the plays to do it. And then the second half, they realized, we still have enough time. We can still run the ball and get back in this football game. And it was working so well. 8 yards a pop, 9 yards a pop. Montgomery, I don't know what the hell he was eating that day, but I think even Justin said that. But it was incredible, to see the moves that he was able to string together. And I think those were actually one of the best runs I've seen out of him in his time here in Chicago. So I can understand why you would want to lean on that a little bit if it's working really, that well. Nick, speaking of running the running game, you did some deep dive on some fullback stuff here, and I started this comment, I feel like an hour ago. More fullback plays. Kari is a beast from Alex. Can you give us some stats to kind of put some things in perspective?
Yeah, guys. So on the very first drive, the only touchdown drive of the game, Kari Blasingame was featured. 4 of those plays, one of them was the fumbled snap, but the last 3 plays, 13-yard gain for David Montgomery, a 9-yard gain from David Montgomery, then a 3-yard touchdown run. So it's looking good for the Bears. They're running the ball, getting touchdowns. It's all, maybe it's a different story at Lambeau Field after that first drive. Obviously, we know that wasn't the case, but it didn't make sense what Luke Getsy did afterwards. So Kahari Blasingame didn't get featured in the offense until 6 minutes and 40 seconds left in the third quarter. And I'm not saying that Kahari Blasingame is just this huge game changer, but it seemed like Luke Getsy adjusted to what the Packers were going to do against this 21 personnel before they actually adjusted, because he already took out the fullback. And then eventually, when they started implementing Kahari Blasingame for the 13 total snaps that he played, here's how the other gains went for the times he was on the field. A 6-yard gain, an 11-yard gain, 14-yard gain, all runs, by the way, 28 by David Montgomery, 27-yard gain by Khalil Herbert, 6-4, and then you had, like I said, the fumble, and there was a sack and an incompletion, but he was plus 110 yards when Kahari Blasingame was out there. And it just, for me, did not make sense when, after that first drive, they didn't feature him in the offensive game plan until 6 minutes and 40 seconds left in the third quarter. We know the Bears want to run the football. We've heard it since the beginning, and it was working the very first drive. And then for some reason, they went away from it. You had the 3 consecutive 3-and-outs in the second quarter to end the half. So not good stuff. But I hope that the Bears go back to pounding the rock, using Kahari Blasingame as that fullback, that lead block, and letting David Montgomery do what we all know he's capable of. Because, like you said, Will, that comment from Justin Fields, whatever he ate, I'm pretty sure he's still got plenty left to show this season. But I think we need to see Kahari Blasingame being featured more in this offense, because clearly good things happen.
That's what I was saying. Go ahead, Greg.
No, I just thought it was a fantastic tweet. At last night when we did our blame game segment on the post-game show, I said the run game, and somebody in the comments after the show was over said, Bragg saying the run game blame game was an absolute joke. But what you just highlighted, and I thought it was a fantastic tweet, just really elaborated what I was trying to say, because it wasn't just the fullback. David Montgomery had a great first drive, and they seem to have gone away from him until the second half when he got off. So they work hand in hand, right? And the thing that really stood out to me about the fullback and how he affected, the second half almost comeback. I know we're throwing almost parades over here as Bears fans, but it was impressive, that drive. They got all the way down the field without throwing the ball. And when they put the fullback in motion, you would think, the Packers know what we're trying to do. Let's run a little misdirection because they're just going to stack the box and try to stop this. Well, they ran motion and followed the fullback every single time, and Green Bay could not stop it. Between the fullback setting that initial block to set up David Montgomery to hit the hole and David Montgomery's relentless running. So, for those guys to do that really stood out, and then to get down on the goal line and go away from what got you there obviously pissed off all Bears fans and had us shaking our heads. I understand there's people that can put out the PFF percentage stats. I'm a meatball. I failed math. I walked out of my Algebra 2 first day of senior year. So I'm not the math guy. I just keep it simple, stupid. And so you get on the goal line, get your fullback under, in the I formation and jam that thing home. I'd much rather see that than what they tried to do in shotgun. So, I thought it was a fantastic tweet by you. Our last coach, not going to say his name because I don't want to put another dollar in the jar, said, I didn't come here to run the I formation. What we saw in the preseason was a fullback implemented in this offense, 2 tight end sets, power, power, power. That's going to be what sets up Justin Fields for, play action and opening things up in the passing game. People act like you got to – that's what we tried with the last quarterback and head coach, dropping back 50 times and making them figure it out. You got to have a balanced attack. You got to play off the run game until the quarterback is ready to lead this team. That's the path to success. Use the fullback again and again and again next week, or we riot.
That's exactly it. If you want more passing attempts, it's weird, but you actually need to run the ball more to allow those to happen. Like, the identity of this offense should be run first, heavily run first, and then utilize, like you said, play action, move the pocket, and give Justin Fields some easy throws and reads to work with. If they're not doing that, they're not adhering to their true selves, and they're trying to be something that they're not, and that's not going to help this offense succeed this season. So I agree with everything you said there, Greg. I would love to see this Bears team next week against Lovie Smith's defense focus on the ground and pound, play action, and get some things done through the air off of that instead of having it completely in Justin Fields' hands out of shotgun. Speaking of the Texans, yesterday they squandered a fourth quarter lead, so they're 0-1-1. The defense, I'm looking at them, they allowed some yards, but they are the 4th best red zone defense right now, only allowing touchdowns 28% of trips inside the 20. And so you're keeping, the scores low. I mean, I expect that from a Lovie Smith coach team. Their offense not super potent, but I know, Nick, you and I, starting tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to start doing our homework here on the Texans, getting ready for our Thursday afternoon weekly game preview show. But just based off what you've seen and heard, are the Texans posing maybe a slightly bigger threat than we thought heading into the season? Like, do they worry you more now than maybe like in the training camp or preseason when we're just kind of looking at the schedule? Anybody?
I think so.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I'd say so. Here's from a gambling standpoint, because I took the Texans to cover week 1, and they were 7-point dogs against the Colts. I didn't know if the Texans would win, but I thought they would be in that game just because I just didn't know how Matt Ryan was going to do in his first game with the Colts. They end up tying, which is, to me, is telling me they played better than even what I expected as the guy who bet on them to just lose by 7 or less, or win, obviously. And then last week, I think last week's game is more about the Broncos than it is them. But overall, I can just say that I think that they are better than what we expected. But I still think they're going to finish as one of the worst teams in the league. I just think they're going to be a little bit more competitive, if that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I just know, like, obviously this defense that the Bears are running going to look very similar to what we're going to see on Sunday from the Houston Texans, right? With Lovie Smith being the guy there. So I just think that, it's going to be tough, and especially how this offense has looked for the Bears, knowing that that's the offense going against a defense that they've been practicing against, but still it's going to be something that, come Sunday, it's going to be points are going to be hard to come by. I have a feeling for both teams. So it's going to be probably one of those, whoever can grind it out, have that mental stamina that Matt Eberflus talks about, and we'll see the Bears can, obviously come on the winning end of that. But yeah, for sure, going into the season, I thought it was like, okay, you can pencil that as like one of the few W's that the Bears will get this year. Now I still have that feeling initially. Again, we're gonna do all the prep throughout the week to get you prepared for Thursday, but yeah, it's gonna be a little tough.
I mean, for me, it's I'm nervous now. I was excited for the Packer game because we were playing with house money, and I like that when you're the underdog and you're playing with nothing to lose. And that was why I felt like the Bears were in a good spot, and I got smacked in the mouth with that mindset. Now, I'm like a beaten down dog here going into this week, and I feel like, spoiler alert, I'm not trying to give away my picks yet, but I feel like I'm gonna pick the Bears to win this game, but I'm much more nervous about it now going in because it isn't house money anymore. Obviously big picture wins and losses don't matter as much as the development, but also, I think the wins are important to keep this momentum of wanting to buy into the hits philosophy and the system offensively that Luke Getsy's trying to run, so to get some of these wins in winnable games that they have coming up early in the season, because the second half of their schedule is absolutely brutal, to me is very important. So I'm nervous about this game going in, but I think the word is adjustments. That was the word coming out, the word of the day coming out of week 1. And they really puffed their chest out talking about how they made adjustments, not just at halftime, but series to series. And they were prepared coming in. Eberflus was talking a big game about how they're going to be the most prepared team. And Mark Carman was like, slow down there, Matt. It's okay to be confident, but you don't have to announce yourself as the smartest guy in the room. And I get where he's coming from, because now you've gotten smacked in the mouth. So it's good to talk a big game when you win week 1, and that's fine. Everyone should feel good about themselves after a win like that in the rain. But this is where the rubber meets the road. It's money on the table time now for this coaching staff. They want to go back and look at some things after getting beat down essentially last night, even though the Bears didn't let go of the rope and made it a little bit of a game at the end of the night. Credit to them for that at the very least. But now you have to make these adjustments like we talked about, staying with the run game. Don't if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Adjustments to the passing game to get Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet involved in this offense once and for all. Adjustments defensively. How are we going to stop the run? There's a lot they have to attack now this week heading into the Texans game at home. Thank God it's at home. That'll help, because, that road environment, I'm sure Nick can speak to it, for these young guys in a new offense and everything else. That's tough because you got the cadence at the line of scrimmage. Now you've got the home field advantage. That's going to help these guys in with the confidence. A great quote from that first week was like, "Oh, the house was shaking." Can you that's the kind of stuff that invigorates a team. The fans do have an impact in that way. So positively and negatively if you're on the road. So we'll have that positive impact to help bring the heat from the stands. So there's a lot to think about, and I'm excited to dig deeper into it. I'm excited for you guys to come out with what you guys have as far as going into this game, because that's how I'm going to base how I'm picking this game. And I don't like that I'm 1-1. I was feeling so good after my 1-0 prediction, but it's too hard for me to pick against the Bears. But I got to do it some weeks. I just don't know if it'll be this week.
I'll just say I'm on PointsBet right now, and I'm looking at the opening spread, and it's at 3 right now. I don't know if it opened at 3. I assumed it did, but when it's 3, that basically means that, at least when Vegas sets it at that, it's basically like a toss-up. Like that's basically what they're saying, which makes sense because both these teams, they don't have high expectations for this year, right? So, I don't think. I guess my point here is Bears fans shouldn't go into this game thinking that this is an automatic W. Like if Vegas thinks that this game is going to be close, I'm leaning to think that this game's going to be close. They're not wrong very often.
Well, if the game is ugly and, it's one that you don't want to remember too much, the good news is we're having a tailgate with all you can drink and all you can eat. And that way you can pregame, enjoy your morning, and we'll see what the afternoon holds. But I just want to thank everyone who did watch tonight's edition of CHGO Bears After Dark. If you haven't yet, please smash that like button for us. We really do appreciate that. It helps us spread the word, spread the show around, and I think sharing is caring, to be honest. But Nick and I know we'll see you guys together on Thursday. Nick, you're going to be popping on the show throughout the week, but I'm going to go, into the woodworks here and start my preparations for Thursday so we can have another kick-ass game preview episode. I'll see you then. And, of course, I'll see you on Sunday morning. But until Thursday, bear down, Chicago.